everyone. Thanks for coming. This is a talk about how my experience in theater will save my tech career. Let's start. I'm Blake Turner. I am a software developer. I teach software development here at Red Academy. It's a new job for me. I've been doing it only for 3 months, actually. So until then, I've been working as a professional software developer. So I'm also Blake Turner, a playwright, director, and actor. I've spent equal parts in these two worlds, 7 years in each. The 7-year itch is a very real thing in my life. Literally 7 years in theater, 7 years as a software developer, and now 3 months as a teacher. So we'll see how it goes from here. So more on the theater stuff later. Here's an amazing fact. It takes us less than 3 months to turn complete beginners into junior developers. That's crazy. If you've ever looked behind the curtain of software and seen how many things have to go right in order for software to work, that's insane. That's 3 months. I mean, that's a trimester. We're able to do this in such a short amount of time, not because we're brilliant instructors or because we have brilliant students. Sometimes we are brilliant, sometimes they are brilliant. We do this because in general, the software is already written. A lot of what we do when writing software is actually configuring other people's software to handle our business concerns. It's basically light configuration and kind of paint by numbers coding, the equivalent of that. And using that, we can leverage these libraries and frameworks to get really impressive results really quickly. So that's pretty cool. But to add another layer, and this is technical, many languages have what we call the meta-programming ability. So software languages use data. Like when you write software, it consumes and handles data. Meta-programming languages use software as their data, which means that when you use these meta-programming abilities, you're actually able to write software that writes itself. So that's cool. I mean, it's a really cool, exciting thing for me as a technical person that I'm able to write software that writes software. But what's even more interesting is that people using software don't even need to know that their software uses metaprogramming or that these frameworks have been written by 100 people over 100 days, that sort of thing. What we need to know is that when we use them, they work, right? It doesn't matter how they work, it matters that they work. And that's what allows us to build software quickly. We don't actually have to know how it works, we just use it. So this is a concept called abstraction. Abstraction is a word we use all the time in computer science. It's a technique for arranging the complexity of computer systems. It's the process of reducing something complex into its essential characteristics. So that's a bit abstract, as the word implies. So let's talk about cars. The essential characteristics of a car are that it goes, it turns, and it stops, right? That's really all we need to do. We drive cars every day, and that's really all we do. We push the pedal to go, we push the pedal to stop, we turn the wheel to turn. So we don't actually, most of us, some of you will, but I don't, most of us have no idea how cars work. I know that I put gas in it, I know that I turn a key, and I know that it runs, but there's some things that spin. Like, that's all I know about cars. But I use them every day. And we're actually, what we call that is being abstracted from the workings of the engine. So we operate the car using the pedals and the wheel. That's what we call the interface. And we're abstracted from the workings of the engine. So this abstraction gives us a ton of power. We drive great distances in challenging conditions on windy roads. We cross countries, we climb hills, we board ferries in cars. We use driving to assert our independence when we're kids. We use it to go the places we need to go. We use it to solve problems. So here's a question. Will that change when we're no longer the ones driving? When cars drive themselves? Do we need to be actually operating that vehicle in order to gain benefit from it? Is it any less powerful than it was when we were driving it? Or is the car driving itself just one more level of abstraction that we built? Is it a redefining of the essential characteristics of a car? So instead of one that goes, turns, and stops, it's something that takes me where I need to go, where I want to go. I think that's an interesting thought, right? We used to have to drive this thing, and now it drives itself, but essentially, we achieve the same thing. But this is a talk about software. So in software, abstractions allow us to build quickly. So we've talked about this. The code is already written or able to write itself, and we're just implementing it specific to our needs. And if this trend continues, this growth of abstraction on abstraction on abstraction, it's very possible that soon we won't actually be writing software at all. And that's not a crazy thought. I'm not the first person to say this. And I'll put this into perspective. So here's how software is built. So here's how to build software. The first thing you do is you see if anybody else has already built it. That's step one. Step two, see if anybody's written a library with which to build it. 3, see if anyone has built it in a different language that you could then adapt and basically steal. See if anyone has built something similar and blogged about it that you can adapt and steal. And then finally, if all of those things are exhausted, you build it yourself. So the first 4 steps are really just spending a lot of time Googling and poking around on Stack Overflow and Medium and all these resources online. Basically, we're consuming a lot of data and interpreting it and understanding it for our needs in order to inform the way that we build. And as you probably read and probably heard about, computers are getting very, very good at consuming and interpreting huge amounts of data. Something we call big data. I'm sure you've heard the term big data. That's what it is. It's taking amazing amounts of data, interpreting them, seeing trends, and being able to result in some form of interpretation, artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it. So it's not crazy to say that as more and more resources get applied to big data, and the resulting artificial intelligence, specifically in the field of writing software, computers will get better and faster than humans at writing software. Uh-oh. That's scary, right? So here's where this sort of conversation could take a path. Do we despair that we're literally writing code to replace ourselves as software developers? Or do we hope that this might actually allow us to do great things? Okay, remember this slide? I'm Blake Turner, a theater artist. The good news is artists are really good at hope. So we're going to choose the happy path here. So how does theater relate to everything I just talked about? Theater and its component parts, so acting, dance, music, playwriting, they make art out of nothing. So that's why I fell in love with it. Like, it's incredible. For anybody who's been on stage and that sort of thing, like you can literally walk on stage and be like, I've just left a battle. And people say, oh, it's just left a battle. It's amazing, right? Like, I didn't just leave a battle, I just literally walked in from the wings. I'm right here. But I say, I just left a battle and I'm holding a sword and I'm a bit tired and I'm limping. And you're like, oh, that's more credible. He probably got hurt in the battle. Battles are hard, right? It's amazing, right? All I had to do was, I left a battle. And then I left a battle. It's amazing. Like, I can walk into a room and I can pour it, and you know what I did, right? I poured a drink and I drank it. But I didn't. I moved my hand in the shape of a circle. Like, I literally made something out of nothing, and that's cool. That's really exciting. That's why I fell in love with theater. And the cool thing about that is that you're not actually making something out of nothing. You're making something out of the imaginations of the audience, right? So theater doesn't make art out of nothing. Theater makes art by harnessing imaginations. So, a story about this. One of the first plays I created had an underwater scene where somebody had to fight a sea monster. So this is obviously something that couldn't actually happen. So what did we do? We found a few yards of fabric and literally some sticks from the woods and some underlay from a flooring project I had just done, and we made a sea monster. And we went on stage and we dimmed the lights and we moved it slowly because it was underwater, and it worked. Right? A sea monster was on stage. The main guy got to punch a sea monster in the face. It was hilarious. So that worked not because we're good puppet makers, because we aren't, or because we're good lighting designers, because we aren't. It was because we were able to use our creativity to harness the imaginations of the audience. So imagination is ridiculously powerful. Every interesting aspect of our history has come from someone's imagination. We leverage the imaginations of others every day when we read, when we watch TV, when we collaborate, when we create. So an act of imagination isn't an independent endeavor, it's actually the sum of millions of endeavors over tens of thousands of years. So what is technology, I would ask, if not just another expression of our imaginations? So I'll take that one step further, and forgive me if this goes a bit too far, but I could say that technology is the sum of human imagination. Technology as we know it is the sum of human imagination. All of the coolest things that we've been able to do together could be expressed in technology. So, in a world where software is written for us, the primary role of developers, software developers, will be to harness technology in order to solve intricate problems. And if technology is the sum of human imagination, then the primary role of developers will be to harness imagination in order to solve problems. So should we be worried about this? Are software developers going to be out of jobs because the software is writing itself? I mean, there will certainly be less time spent on implementation and security and that sort of thing. But we can also ask is, will this allow us to do even more? So what if the bugs no longer exist? What if we don't spend half our time Googling how the hell to do things? What if product iterations take minutes or seconds instead of days and weeks? What if we could achieve, what could we achieve if we could build software as quickly as we could conceive it? So in my opinion, that is a very bright future. So what does this mean for right now? Okay, first, sorry, I know I'm a bit over time. Developers, junior and senior, need to make creativity a priority. So it's easy to get stuck in the grind of pounding out features. It's incredibly easy. So we need to take a step back and say, what would happen if? And use that creativity. Next, hiring companies and recruiters need to rethink their criteria. So will a bachelor's degree in computer science and 2 years experience with various technological acronyms actually help us with the creativity needed for the future? I question that. What about the non-technical and creative experience? Where does it fit in with the job requirements? Last, artists need to see technology as a viable career path. So when I tell people about my time as a theater artist, they often ask how the hell I started that way or how I started that after I'd been a developer. So believe it or not, it's the same feeling writing software as it was making a puppet in my living room. It's the same itch, it's creativity. It's building something from nothing. So it's an incredible feeling, and it's what artists are good at. And they need to know that these skills are transferable, especially to tech. So to close, we need to focus not on what we will be stopped from doing once software writes itself, but what we will be able to do once we don't have to write it. Thank you.